You got a 2 or 3 and a 6.
Yeah.
By the way, if y'all want to read that and pass it down, I got a very nice letter from Joe Jr. Tonight, Calvin and Alyssa I know one thing I got to do before this thing.
Julia. Okay, I didn't think you'd ask me, but I didn't hear you. I'm so sorry. Absolutely, I just heard my name. I was like, absolutely. I didn't hear. I guess I was,
And then just make sure y'all turn your microphones back on when we get cranked up. Did you happen to see that letter that Joe Jr. sent me?
Yeah, I did. Got a copy.
Oh, you got a copy of it too?
Being written by the parents.
It was about his parents, about the, basically 3 departments taking care of his family.
Yeah, he sent me.
It's nice.
Yeah, it was.
If I remember correctly, that clock is a little bit slow, isn't it? It is. It's 7 o'clock. We're ready to get going. Council, y'all ready? Thank you. Good evening. I'll call this meeting of the Cartersville City Council to order. If you'll please stand for our invocation and pledge.
Good evening, everyone. Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we come at this time to do the business of the city. We thank you for grace and mercy and understanding, and guide us in our decision making. Keep us on one accord, and let's do what's best for our city, Cartersville, Georgia. You're a good God, you're a mighty God, and we serve you graciously. Now just come down, be in the midst of this council session, and we'll be so grateful. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me into the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just break the roll, please.
Carrie Todd, Ward 1. Here. Jay Stepp, Ward 2. Carrie Ross, Ward 3.
Here.
Calvin Cooley, Ward 4.
Here.
Gary Fox, Ward 5.
Here.
Melissa Cordell, Ward 6.
Here.
Thank you, Julia. First order of business is the approval of our council meeting minutes from August 21st. Council, you've had an opportunity to look these over and make any edits if there are any needed, and now would be a time to note those edits, and if there are none, a motion is in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. And the minutes are approved. Mr. Menino, get us started off with Z25-04, please, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This particular case, Z2504, and the following case, Z2505, are both regarding the same development, the estates at Ponders Mountain. This particular portion of the request is a change of the existing conditions that are on the existing development out there. Currently, there is a requirement for an amenities package for pool, tennis courts, and clubhouse. The request is to eliminate that requirement. Technically, it's not completely eliminated. They are looking to do a clubhouse and pool in the second phase with townhomes, which is part of the next request. However, they are looking to eliminate this requirement out of this section of the development. With that, Planning Commission did hear this. It was recommended for denial by the Planning Commission, and there have been no additions or changes since the first reading, with the exception of us seeing a new rec plan for the Phase 2 townhomes.
Okay, questions for Randy at this time? Thank you, sir. I'll open up a public hearing for Z25-04. And go ahead, Mr.
Mayor,
Marble.
before you
Yes.
start, I just want to remind council and everybody, for everyone except for the applicant, there is a 5-minute speaking limit. The mayor will inform you if you do go over that. Council can extend that time for you. The applicant does have 10 minutes. I will remind council that the first item is a traditional hearing. The second item is one where they have actually asked for variances, and we'll hear those after we hear that first item. So on that one, there'll actually technically be 2 separate public hearings.
Thank you for that. And also, I'll note to those that were here last time and participated that anything that was said in the first hearing is in the minutes, and that, again, council's heard it. My role is to try to get as much information to council as possible. We want to make sure we're plowing new ground. And so thank you. And for those of you here, we appreciate you being here and participating. I will continue the public hearing portion. The applicant gets the opportunity to go first. Come on up, sir. And as for anybody, if you have not signed in and plan to speak, there is a sign-up sheet on the outside. And when you do come up, we need your name and your address so that our clerk can accurately put it in the records.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, my name is Stephen Jones, the law firm of Taylor Duma. My address is 1600 Parkwood Circle, Suite 200, Atlanta, Georgia, 30339. I say that a lot at the podium, so I'm kind of good at saying it quick. We've got a PowerPoint up. Again, you've got 2 requests before you tonight. I'll discuss the first one, but as I'm discussing the first one, I'll talk about the second one too, because I think they're intertwined. First slide, please. This is the Ponders Mountain subdivision that was originally approved in 2007 by the zoning action of this council for 315 units. 74 of those homes were constructed. HOA went defunct. The rest of the subdivision wasn't developed. High Brass Properties, the applicant and my client, purchased it in 2017. In 2021, we established a voluntary HOA for the existing Phase 1 residents. Next slide, please. As staff talked about in the work session, this would be a plan consistent with the original approval for 315 units with approximately 37 acres of open space. Next slide, please. Again, with this you can see just a satellite imagery of the overall subject property that is before you tonight in both requests. Next slide, please. To give you an overview, there was also some discussion in the work session. We previously applied for and received a land disturbance permit for that lower section in 2023 to develop the existing portion or the next phase of this development. Next slide, please. But as we looked at that and as we looked and discussed with residents in the existing Phase 1, we didn't feel that that was the most harmonious way to marry the undeveloped land, which remained undeveloped for almost 20 years, with the existing Phase 1 subdivision and the existing Phase 1 residents, especially because those 74 homes are no longer subject to a mandatory HOA since it did go defunct. So we've got this new plan which creates 2 separate and distinct neighborhoods and keeps the unit count under the unit count that was originally approved. So you have 301 in this proposal where the original approval was 315. We would add an additional 28 lots to Phase 1 and 199 attached townhomes in Phase 2, which would be accessed by the public solely off Smiley Ingram. We would connect Smiley Ingram with a road we would then tie Rock Fence Road number 2 into an intersection with that new road, which we would design and construct. This was the original plan. I want to talk now about some discussion that we had, next slide please, And the first public hearing, Mayor, may I?
Sure. Is this the same thing that you gave us prior to the meeting? David had printed some out. Is that the same thing?
Yes, Mayor,
It's got
but
like-
you've got a clean copy, and then
Yep.
you also have the red line in the back. The clean's just, I think, easier to look at.
Thank you.
And if you look at the clean copy, what we tried to do is tie in some of the discussion we had. So in the first public hearing, there was a discussion about what the amenity area was going to be. The original amenity area staff mentioned in phase one would have been a pool, clubhouse, and tennis courts. What we're proposing in phase two is a pool, clubhouse, and then common recreation field. I believe in the first public hearing, Councilman Roth, you mentioned an area for children to go and congregate and play, and that's what we intended to try to accomplish with that. We haven't obviously designed this for an LDP for grading, but when we do, and we've discussed this some with staff, we'll locate that field in the most feasible area around the clubhouse. So it could be to the north, it could be more towards the east, but we'll include a common amenity, multi-purpose field there. What we've done in this, and if you look at the red line conditions, number 4, we've tied your approval, should that be the council's will tonight, to the approved concept plan, or to the concept plan that you have before you, and that we've attached as an exhibit to these proposed conditions. Another thing to note on that concept plan was, and Councilman Roth, I think you brought this up as well, was off-street parking, some overflow parking. This is not designed, these townhomes are not intended for residents that, this is a first-time homebuyer product, young couple. As you transition in life and have more drivers in the house, you would transition out into a different home. But to understand the concern about overflow parking and additional guest parking, we've added 49 off-street parking throughout the development, 30 at the amenity area, and then another 19 scattered throughout. That would give you 2 in the garage, 2 in the driveway, and then another 39 for overflow throughout. And that's what we intended to accomplish with that condition number 9. So those are one of the things that we've talked about here. I'll also pass out, Mayor, may I?
Please.
We've mirrored that in both the conditions that you have. So I've tendered to you conditions for both rezoning applications. I just wanted to talk about those concept plan shifts, but in this public hearing, focus on the 28 lots. The 28 lots that we will add to the end of Ponders Road to be in addition to the phase 1 will be part of the HOA for phase 2. We did that so that they would have access to the amenity, but also because based on some conversations that we've had with residents and elsewhere, the phase 1 or phase 2 HOA, of which the 28 will be a part, would maintain the stormwater management facilities in the existing phase 1, which is something you currently don't have out there. The developer would also grant anyone in the existing 74 phase 1 homes, and that's part of these conditions, that wanted to voluntarily access the phase 2 amenities, the ability to do that if they paid a reduced set of dues that were necessary to carry that weight of using those amenity areas. So they would have access to the common area, the multi-purpose field, the pool, the clubhouse, and they would do that through that emergency access only that you see that dotted line between the 2 phases. So
they would have access to the Knox box to get through that?
They'd have a clicker, most likely a clicker, because a code can be passed around. A clicker cannot be, right? Or not as easily.
Yeah.
So we felt like that was a great way to kind of marry these 2 things together, and you'll see that addressed in those red line conditions 6 through 9. Finally, since we are giving the phase 1 residents the ability to access the phase 2 amenities, we also wanted to put something in the common area that was originally intended for the development, which is the one that fronts on Center Road. So what we're going to do there is just a playground, because that it will be long lasting, like a metal playground, coated in that plastic material that will be long-lasting and easy for the residents in Phase 1 to maintain. I think another point to note is we've met with and been in pretty constant communication with the existing Phase 1 residents. We had a community meeting, and we've worked through some of these issues with them. Everyone who attended the community meeting was in favor, and I believe you'll hear tonight that from some of the residents that they support this plan. We hope that's, of course, still the case. But what this will also do is, because I know this has been an issue, a current issue, is traffic on Center Road. By not developing the entire 315 homes that would have had primary access off Center and then Smiley Ingram as a secondary, we're reducing traffic pressure on Center Road and routing the Phase 2 residents through Smiley Ingram. There are some additional conditions and modifications that relate to Phase 2. I'll just mention one of those briefly now, and you'll see those in those proffered conditions for Phase 2. There was a comment from a resident off Rock Fence, too, about maintaining a buffer between the road that we would build to connect the Phase 2 development to Smiley Ingram. Of course, we haven't done a grading plan yet because based on the concept plan. So what we've covenanted to do in those Phase 2 conditions, which we can discuss more in the next public hearing, is if we can leave an undisturbed buffer, which if you see that line in the center, that's a minimum of 50 feet until you taper in to get to Smiley Ingram. We'll leave it undisturbed if that's feasible under the grading plan. If not, we will come back and replant it with evergreens. The only reason we said that we wouldn't replant it in the beginning is I believe that gentleman said he would prefer a natural buffer. So we'll try to do that in the grading plan, but if not, we'll come back with evergreens. It's been our experience, though, that evergreens are a better screen because evergreen, right? But we made that accommodation based on public comment that we had heard. So with that next slide, please. Just want to give you a zoom in of that amenity area. You can see the...
Mr. Jones, you have reached the 10-minute part.
Thank you, Mayor.
So I would kindly ask you to just wrap up your thought on this, and you can continue on when we get to the second hearing, please.
Yes, thank you so much, Mayor. And you're correct, I was starting to bleed into the second public hearing. But with that, I'd ask that you consider these proffered conditions. We do have a concept plan specific condition attached to these, which would ensure that the council's getting everything that is in the city and the residents are getting everything that's been proposed tonight. And ask that you vote to approve this. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions of me, I'd be happy to answer those.
I do. Really, what this first hearing comes down to, and I know you touched on the second part, and we'll continue that on, but it really comes down, the request that's part of this hearing is relative to the amenity piece.
That's correct, Mayor.
We did hear from some of the neighbors, some of the residents out there about that. And I appreciate that input. That's helpful to us. So really, the only thing that I'm seeing in here that addresses that is condition 10 on the sheet that says the developer shall construct a playground in the common area in the existing portion of Ponders Mountain subdivision, fronting Ponders Road and Center Road. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
So if we're kind of boiling this down a little bit, what you're asking is the requirement to have all the things that were conditioned when this property was first developed to do basically that instead.
Yes and no. So with respect to the common area that fronts on Center and Ponders Drive, we want to do something that the existing residents in Phase 2 with a voluntary HOA can maintain, and then give the residents an option in Phase 1 Phase 2 that will have a mandatory HOA access to that amenity. So kind of marrying the best of both worlds.
I understand. Again, I'm trying to take, pardon the term, I'm trying to take mud and make dirt and water, because these two things are, I've got to look at these, we're supposed to look at these things separately.
Understood.
And so again, I understand your point, that's not lost on me, but again, right now it's, again, the way I'm looking at it, there's existing homes on that. There was a condition that was put on this property when it was first developed back in pre-2008, that there was going to be an amenity package. And that wasn't done, and I understand that. And again, that usually kicks in when another phase kicks in. That's something maybe we'll address as a city down the road. But so there was a condition that wasn't met, and now you're asking essentially in this first portion to have this condition removed, not in its entirety, but instead of delivering A, you want to deliver B. And I trust that, again, we'll hear from some of the residents, I'm sure, whether they're agreeable with that, or if that's preferential, or if it's not. But that's essentially what this first request is asking, correct?
That's correct, Mayor. I do want to make one point clear. We were not the original developer that did not build it. We bought it out of foreclosure, and now we're trying to make water out of mud.
Well, you bought it in 2013?
17, I believe.
17, okay. So 8 years ago.
Correct.
And you knew what the conditions were when you bought the property?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Any other questions at this point?
One more. How long has the HOA been defunct?
I want to say 12, 11. In your packet, there's the dissolution date. I just don't have it memorized. I'm sorry, Councilwoman.
2012.
I was close.
Then reinstated in 2019.
Okay. Mr. Bagley, can you go back a couple slides? I want to go to, keep going, right, go forward one. Yeah, that's good enough. That'll get my point across. I think for the sake of discussion, we talked about this last time, to use the fact that there was an original plan that had 315 homes and we're going to make this so much better because we're not putting 315 homes, I think is a little, again, I think if you looked at the development cost of actually doing that, that was never going to happen. It's just not economically feasible. So as a starting point, as a premise to say we were going to start with 315 and now we're doing something substantially less, I'd like to kind of move the argument in a different place. And again, I'd like to probably carry that one to the next one because it does relate more to that than it does the amenity piece. So thank you.
May I?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And you're not wrong, Mayor, that there is an increased development cost with going up the mountain. I think that ultimately, though, just causes the ultimate lot price and ultimate home price to increase. This is a much more feasible plan, but this plan also has a lot more detractions or negatives to it than just the development cost alone. The High Brass actually has one of its members is a grading contractor or has another business as a grading contractor, a very good one. But this plan also preserves the existing phase one, preserves the natural topography of Ponders Mountain, reduces traffic on Center, accommodates the questions, concerns, and potential liability in phase one. It was really a concerted effort over a long time for us to try to marry the existing conditions with phase one with what's out there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Mayor, I have one question. With respect to the amenity package, would you have any objections if council decided to approve your proposal on phase one and then leave the existing condition on the remainder of the property, which that would then be addressed in the second rezoning condition with whatever council would decide?
If you're saying remove the condition with respect to phase one and then phase two, leave the condition, and then we'll address that in the second public hearing?
Yes.
City manager, city attorney, I think that's a great way to address it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll continue with the public hearing for Z25-04, and anybody wishing to step forward, speak for or against, may do so at this time. And again, this is relative specifically to the amenity package request to have the original condition put on it, altered or removed. Please.
Well, I know that a large part of our community, I'm sorry, I'm Ann Byrne. I live at 15 Everest Drive Southeast in Cartersville, Georgia. And for 7 years, the community maintained the front end of Ponders Mountain, which about 30% of the community participated in. High Brass was taking care of a few lots, and when a sign went up that they saw my name on, they came forward and said, oh, we didn't know anybody was doing this. I don't know how they could not have known, because otherwise the grass would have been as high as the houses around it. So that kind of leaves me with a little bit of distrust. So I need to get some assurances from them that what they're saying they're going to do in our community is actually going to happen. A lot of people are very untrusting at this point. We want to know that they're going to take care of the front end, make sure it's taken care of, however they manage to do it. If they incorporate it into a larger HOA, that's fine, but I can tell you right now that at least 70% of our community is not going to join that HOA. They bought in those homes after the downfall when there was no existing HOA, and they bought because it had no HOA. So to turn around now and say to them, you have to join an HOA, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Some of them may voluntarily join because of the amenities, if that's made available. But we need to know they're gonna take care of the property around Ponders. You know, I can speak to the kudzu that's now growing into my backyard that's coming from the exterior properties. My neighbors have the same issue. We need to know that they're gonna do what they're saying they're gonna do. And if that's not gonna happen, then we really don't want them as neighbors.
Okay. Thank you. Relative to the amenity package, just your personal feeling, is that something that would be satisfactory to you?
I would probably join it, yeah.
I'm saying specifically because again, what we're looking at is, when this was first developed, there was a condition that said there was going to be a pool, a clubhouse, a tennis court.
Right.
We heard in the first reading from several, and again, the developer has said, we don't want to do that. We want that condition removed, and we can do something else. And again, based on what feedback from the homeowners were, again, since there's no HOA, who's going to pay for and maintain all these things?
Right.
The fact that instead of that, there's going to be a playground, is that something that gives you, are you, if
long
that
as
were
the
to be the case, would that be?
As long as a mechanism is put in place to maintain it. Because as the person who collected all the money for 7 years, I can tell you, getting voluntary collection money is not an easy thing to do. It has to be something that's, you know, in writing. Or that has to be incorporated into the other phase.
Okay. And Mr. Lovell, in the paperwork, I don't recall seeing anything that says that the developer of Phase 2 and beyond is responsible for the maintenance of the common areas in Phase 1. Is that correct?
That is correct in the current conditions that he has proposed. There's nothing in there about that. Y'all could, of course, very easily add conditions that they would be responsible for maintaining the amenity area in Phase 1, and you could also add a condition that they would be responsible for maintaining, I believe you said, the entranceway
Yeah, the
to
entryway.
the subdivision, the entrance area to the subdivision.
There's an overflow parking area and
Yeah,
the
I mean,
entrance.
y'all could add any of those to that and then ask the applicant about it when they come up for rebuttal.
Okay.
Whether they have issues with that.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Again, continuing on with Z25-04.
David Head and 13 Everest Drive, Ponders. And Ann is my next door neighbor, obviously. And I agree that my understanding was the new 28 homes at the end of that cul-de-sac, they'll all be a part of the new HOA. So it makes total sense to me for the new HOA to be responsible for maintaining all of the common areas, which would include the entrance from Ponders and also the entrance from Smiley Ingram. And maintaining that playground would not be an additional burden for those Phase 2 HOA. That makes total sense. Because without their maintaining that, then there's an extra burden on the 74 homes that already exist. So if you can add that, make sure that that provision is in there, that the new HOA maintains all of the common areas. That makes total sense to me.
We can certainly ask the applicant when rebuttal comes around if that's something they'd like to consider. Again, there's nothing in that agreement now that says that, and I understand it makes sense to you that if they're gonna build on the back, they ought to maintain the front too. I don't know that the developer would feel the same way, but we'll let him speak for himself in just a
Well,
little
those
bit.
28 homes have to come in the entrance in Ponders,
Sure. No, I don't.
so they need to be responsible for maintaining it.
Okay. Relative, again, I'll ask you the same question I asked Ms. Burns. The amenity package replacement that's been offered by the developers, are you agreeable with that?
Yes, actually, I put a post on the Ponders Mountain website, Facebook, and I got 16 likes, 6 positive comments, and no negative comments, which is amazing that there were no negatives. So, yeah, I think everybody in the neighborhood would go for that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Continuing on, Z25-04. Anybody else wishing to speak for or against the amenity proposal that is before us in this first public hearing? And seeing none, I won't close it. I'll give the applicant an opportunity for closing comment and to address some of those concerns by the neighbors relative to the common areas of Phase 1.
Yes, Mayor, I think that's a great addition. On proffered condition number 8, you could add the HOA shall maintain the common stormwater facilities, comma, common area, comma, and entrance in the existing portion of Ponders Mountain subdivision.
Could you say that one more time so I could write it down?
Yes, sir. Condition number 8 should read, the HOA shall maintain the common stormwater facilities, comma, the common area, parentheses, playground, close parentheses, comma, and entrance in the existing portion of the Ponders Mountain subdivision.
The other entrance would be part of Phase 2, so that would be addressed in their proposed HOA for Phase 2.
Can I ask an uncomfortable question of you?
You may.
Great. We've known each other a long time. Let's say that, again, I don't know what the future looks like, but I have to ponder these different considerations. That's why I make the big dollars. If this were to be approved by council, and then for some reason, if perhaps council didn't approve the development, the developer would still be to adhere to what we've just passed right here? Or would this be contingent upon the approval of the next item?
Well, that's a good question. As currently drafted, it would be applicable if the second request was denied. You could add a rider that the obligations with respect to the homeowners association and other obligations reference to Phase 2 are subject to the second request being approved.
Would that need to be in this, or would this need to be as part of the motion?
I would think you would want that to be part of these listed 10 conditions and have that as an 11th condition.
Okay. You just said it. Will you write that?
Yeah.
Again, I'm looking out for the again, I don't know what the future holds, but I'd hate to have you guys in good faith commit to something and then kind of be beholden to it if something didn't go this way.
Basically, what the condition would read, that if Z25-05 is not approved, then the requirements with respect to the HOA maintenance and other requirements related to Phase 2 will no longer be applicable.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Are you agreeable to that, Mr. Jones?
Could you read it one more time?
Yes, as soon as I finish writing it. If Z2505 is not approved, then the requirements with respect to the HOA maintenance and other requirements with respect to Phase 2 will no longer be applicable.
That's, yes, City Attorney, I think that
Okay.
works.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Jones? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
I will close the public hearing for Z 25-04 and turn it over to council for further discussion and consideration. Again, this is the portion relative to the amenities. And again, you don't, the only part of this sheet that we were given several versions of that applies at this particular time is condition 11, which says that the developer shall construct a playground in common area in the existing portion of the Ponders Mountain subdivision.
Actually, Mayor, that's not really
Well, actually, we're either approved, so we would actually need
correct.
to,
You would be approving the proffered conditions he has for Z 2504, which is amended the existing conditions a little more, if you wanted to, with the two additions that you mentioned. Now, council could just address the amenity package and nothing else.
but this first portion of the request was just for the for the amenities.
Yes.
The next one is for all the other phase
Yeah.
2 stuff.
Well, but if you read Z 2504 and the conditions he listed,
So it really should have said Z 25-05.
no, he's given you a separate one for Z 2505. Here, you've got two requests in front of you. Y'all have two clean ones. I have one dirty and one clean.
Okay, I got you, yeah.
Yes, so what he's asking is if y'all would approve the conditions on Z 25-04 to replace all the existing conditions on there, subject to the two amendments we discussed a few minutes ago.
Which puts.
So we're have to either approve all of 2504, amend it, or not pass it, is what you're saying?
Correct. And, you could just simply say that, we approve condition number 10 with, required maintenance by the new HOA for, section, for phase 2, and then add the 11 we discussed, which was the, if it doesn't get approved, then that goes away. But I think it's just cleaner if you approve, if you're in favor of approving it, that you approve the proffered conditions he has here.
Mr. Mino, would you like to comment on that course of action?
I think the attorney has made it very complicated for us, but it is two separate requests.
And right now, our request is for the amenity package, but in that amenities package discussion, he included conditions that included phase 2. So, council, I would, again, I'm still working off the red line sheet. Councilman, you had a question or comment or some direction?
No,
hopefully?
I just was
Okay.
gonna make a comment that it seems like it pushes the responsibility on 28 homes that 74 have been carrying. Now they're pushing it back on the 28 supposed new homes.
Well, but again, the people that buy in there are gonna know that's part of it.
And
If
it wouldn't
I can make
and
a
it
rec,
wouldn't just be that 28 homes, it would also be all the townhomes that would be built. So, it's not just those 28 homes would have that responsibility. The entirety of phase 2 would have that responsibility,
Yeah.
as he has proposed that.
Yeah, I understand that, but I think when you look at the way that it's,
Yeah.
who's using the entrance, whatnot, it's 28 homes.
Yes.
That's, for the front of the subdivision. If we go this route with, this, we got I got 5 stacks of papers here, whatever version we go with, but, I think it just seems like, the front end's been taking care of it.
I think those people in the front end be very happy to see the back 28 take that burden off of them. I think that's kind of what was commented. If I may, I would ask council, if they choose to consider item 8, which says the HOA shall maintain the common stormwater facilities, common areas, entrance areas that was added of the Ponders Mountain, the existing portion of Ponders Mountain subdivision. That's item 8 on my red line sheet. Item 10 that says the developer shall construct a playground in the common area of the existing portion of the Ponders Mountain subdivision. And item 11 that says if you pass this and the next item doesn't pass, this thing kind of becomes inconsequential. To me, that separates what this first request is. It separates phase 1 from phase 2. And so I've taken it as far as I can. If somebody wanted to make a motion in that area, or if there's more discussion, I think there's a lot more discussion.
I have a question.
Okay.
The first speaker spoke about kudzu encroaching on her yard. Is that from the 100 or whatever acres of green space?
I would suppose so.
And how is that gonna, the edges of that gonna be maintained? Is that something that should be maintained by the HOA? Just a question.
Well, green space is traditionally not maintained.
Just out there, okay.
I mean, you know, if it encroaches on somebody else's property, then, you know, you can ask the person that owns the green space to maintain it, or if you're like me and your neighbor's kudzu encroaches on your property, you go hire somebody to go cut it yourself. I don't do it, but.
Any other questions or discussion?
I have one more, and I know this is gonna put a wrench in this. So when we vote, in just a moment, if we determine we're gonna put a vote out, we're voting on 8, 10, and 11?
That is what I'm asking, because the other items in here are relative to phase 2, which is the hearing that we're having next. I may be wrong, but I'm rather devoted to that line of thinking. So, that being the case, again, I'll leave it up to you guys.
I will make a motion to approve the applicant's request for option 8, 10, and 11 as discussed on council.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Keith, does that meet what
Yes,
you were saying?
that meets all the requirements.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, motion carries 4-1. Thank you. And we will move on to Z25-05, Mr. Menino.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. I think Mr. Jones eloquently covered Z25-05 based on his presentation. The remaining 120 acres being proposed to be rezoned from R10 single-family residential to RA12 townhomes. 28 additional detached homes will be built in the existing phase or existing estates at Ponders Mountain coming off Center Road. 199 townhomes will be coming off of Smiley Ingram in the subsequent phase. Additionally, this request also covers 3 variances along with it, which is now allowed per state law. Variances will be the swapping the front setback with the rear setback. Also looking to eliminate the rear access requirement and allow the parking in the front.
Okay, thank you.
There's a lot more history there, but we covered it all during the first reading, and Mr. Jones covered most of it during his presentation.
Thank you. Questions for Randy at this point? Thank you, Mr. Menino. And again, I'll open up the public hearing for Z25-05 and ask Mr. Jones to come on back up, and you can pick up right where you left off on the first one, if you don't mind. Again, those comments that were made in the first one do carry over here to the second hearing as well. Just want to make note of that.
Yes, Mayor. I will not repeat myself. Mayor, Council, again, Stephen Jones, Clerk. May I incorporate my address and other statements from the prior hearing. Let's switch now to phase 2 in this plan, and we touched on it briefly in the first public hearing. You'd have separated from the existing phase 1 and the new 28 homes, the phase 2, which would be accessed solely off Smiley Ingram. It would have 199 attached townhomes. The amenity area would have a pool, a clubhouse, a playground, and then an outdoor recreation area. Next slide, please. This plan, as we've talked about in the first one, increases the green space area to approximately 86 acres to 37 acres. And that's undisturbed green space. After disturbance and replanting and stabilization as you do, that would increase to almost 100 acres, just shy. You have, and we talked about this in the first, in this proposal you have the things we've modified since this was last heard by council. We've refined and defined the amenity package. We've added off-street parking, and we've also added a proffered condition for a buffer between the main driveway from Smiley Ingram to the development in Rock Fence Road. The buffer to be determined based on the final grading plan and what's feasible in the final grading plan. I want to talk through some of these conditions which we previously discussed in phase 1, but we're also proffering in 2, which provides some benefits to the phase 1 residents as well as defines the development here. We have a maximum of, and I'll just go through these conditions. Next slide, please. If you want to keep coming, you'll see a slide about phase 2. You can see here briefly about the amenity. This is an example of kind of the exact thing that we would build for the amenity package in phase 2. This is something we've constructed at another subdivision with a playground, pool, and clubhouse, and then obviously kind of like a covered cabana area. This also has a splash pad for young children. Next slide. This is the rear of the same amenity. We've added the off-street parking here. You can see it on the screen here, peppered throughout the subdivision. Next slide, please. So with the phase 2 proposal, again, this reduces traffic on Center Road. The phase 2 residents would not have direct access to phase 1 and Ponders and then Center. They would access solely off Smiley Ingram. There was an original condition which carried over from the first condition, which was, and City Attorney and I discussed this at the last public hearing, was a left turn lane on Center 2, which would also alleviate traffic into the development. And we would complete phase 1, of course. Next slide, please. This plan maintains the existing appearance for the phase 1 residents, except for the addition of those few 28 homes. Ponders Mountain remains in its natural undisturbed state. It removes the potential for homes to be constructed behind those existing phase 1 homes. Next slide, please. The playground, which we discussed in phase 1, we would add to phase 1 as part of the phase 2 construction. Phase 1 and phase 2, again, would be separated by a Knox box, which is a proprietary device out of Knoxville, Tennessee, only accessed by EMS. We increase the green space, of course, the natural area, decrease the disturbed area, and then we add the amenities for phase 2 and the option that you have in your proffered conditions for the residents in phase 1 to opt in to the amenity package in phase 2 by paying a reduced dues. We'd have to calculate later, but it would cover the maintenance costs there. Next slide, please. So if I could, Mayor, Council, go through the proffered conditions for phase 2, because there are a lot of them, and a lot of them pick up on the conditions we discussed last time. And what I handed you, you have a clean copy, and then behind it you've got a red line so you can see the revisions, but sometimes that gets noisy to read. A lot of these come down to us proffering conditions that ensure that the concept plan that we've presented and what we're showing you tonight is exactly what will be delivered. To that end, number 1, the maximum units, the 199 we discussed. Number 2, minimum square footage of 1,700 square feet. 3 is a carryover of the max elevation for water approval. We've already discussed with the water department service to this phase 2, and the engineer has sent them elevations, and I believe they're in agreement as to the ability to serve this. Condition number 4 references the amenity package shown in the concept plan, which is also attached to these proffered conditions as Exhibit A, to make sure that amenity package is exactly what you're getting. I did notice a typo in here, so if you want to add it, children's playground as well. It says pool and clubhouse, which should say pool, comma, children's playground and clubhouse. Condition number 5, again, queuing to the concept plan. Our undisturbed acreage will be substantially as shown on our concept plan. 6, 7, and 8 are related to the variance that you will hear later. Staff's got those as recommended conditions attached to this rezoning, should it be the council's will to approve that tonight. And then getting into the dichotomy between phase 1 and phase 2, these next conditions are the ones that we discussed in phase 1, but 10 would be that the 28 lots fronting on Ponders shall be part of the HOA for phase 2. So the 199 towns plus the 28 standalone. 11, the existing portion of the Ponders Mountain subdivision shall be given that access. So that's a condition guaranteeing that the proposal you're hearing tonight is reduced to law. 12, the HOA shall maintain the common stormwater facilities in the existing portion of Ponders Mountain. That's a carryover from 1. If you make the same modification that you did in 1, I ask that you make that here. 13 is that ensures that you have that Knox box separation, but that the existing residents in phase 1 that opt in can access that gate to get to the amenity area. So they don't have to come out center and go around the Smiley Ingram and come through. They can get a clicker and access the phase 2. Of course, and there's a condition about anybody who opts in paying the dues. And then finally, 14, to the gentleman's comment on rock fence 2, that buffer that we discussed in the first public hearing, which is that access road. If we could go back to the concept plan. The access road that connects the townhome development to Smiley Ingram, based on grading, leave it undisturbed if you can, but if not, go back with evergreens. Again, we think evergreens are a better buffer, but we were trying to listen and incorporate that. So if we could come forward, I have a few renderings. We showed those in the last public hearing. If council has any questions, I believe that's the scope of the overall proposal. These are phase 1, but you can see townhomes as you come later into the packet. Council, I do appreciate your consideration of this in-depth request, but again, we think we've taken a lot of effort and a lot of time to hear concerns, incorporate them into this plan, resident concerns, council concerns, and incorporate them into these proposed conditions. So with that, I'd ask that you vote to approve with the applicant proffered conditions, subject to the modifications that we've discussed tonight. May I answer any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Jones? I've got just one, and Logan, I'm going to make you wear your finger or your mouse out. Go all the way back. That's good enough right there. That'll work just fine. Mr. Jones, in the first hearing, you referred to this as being harmonious with the existing phase. Would you not find that if you just did single-family homes in the entirety of that area where you have the 28 homes and the townhomes not to be more harmonious than what you're proposing here?
No, I mean, again, we would have to carve up the mountain, and although I would think we can do that, that still disturbs more green space, more undisturbed green space. It also cuts into the area behind the existing single-family homes.
No, I'm talking about where you see townhomes, that same area, having those be homes that are consistent with phase 1 and the 28 homes that you're proposing for phase 2. Does that not seem like that would be more harmonious with phase 1 than doing two separate things?
We wouldn't have enough space to do single family and just that. To do single family, we would have to go up the entire mountain and do that plan. If we could come back a few slides, sir, to that's what we would have to do single family and get close to the comparable density where we were, or where we are under the existing conditions. So that's one of the reasons for the transition as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Jones?
Mayor, I have one. You referenced in the first hearing the knockbox clicker. Would that only be provided to phase 1 residents?
It would only be provided to phase 1 residents that opted into the HOA and were current on their dues.
Because I'm sure council would have some concern if the phase 2 residents had access to the clicker and could access Center Road.
Absolutely not. And we've memorialized that in the second to last condition. But it's only the phase 1 folks that get a clicker, and we just did that because we wanted them to have closer access to the amenity area should they choose to opt in.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Continuing on with the hearing for Z 25-05. Anybody wishing to step forward to speak for or against may do so at this time.
I'd like to speak again.
Come on up.
When I spoke to.
Need your name and your address
Oh,
again,
I'm
please,
sorry.
sir. That's all right.
Kirk Ledford, 60 Rock Fence 2 Road, which y'all know where that's at. It's a dead end road. I don't think the first meeting, I told y'all this. Mama's been there since 1980, and I still living at home, and I built my house in 1999. And you said not get into what you was talking about the last time, but the developer, when I was asking for leave a natural buffer and or a privacy fence running parallel with Rock Fence Road number 2, the reason I asked for both, cause if you can't get one, can't get both, maybe we can get the other. And but he was leaving the ball in his court. He was saying, well, it depends on the final grading plant. We might can do this or we might can do that. I'm asking y'all, can y'all make some kind of requirement? Cause he was letting everybody know he wasn't going and be obligated to nothing. He said, depending on the final plans and this and that and other, whether it be zoned like that picture or all the houses wrapped around the whole mountain, could you consider the natural buffer or the privacy fence or both, because he didn't commit to it?
Council can certainly consider putting that as a requirement, a condition like the ones we spoke about.
So that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Continuing on with Z 25-05. Again, anybody wishing to step forward and speak for or against may do so at this time.
I believe that giving.
Can I get you to, again, I need you to restate your name and address. It just
David
makes,
Head.
if Julie is not
13 Everest
happy,
Drive.
I'm not going to be happy, so we got to make sure we take care of her.
That's all right. I like Phase 2 not having access to the Knox box because that limits traffic on Ponders Road, so I think that's a good thing. I also think giving the existing homes the opportunity to choose to join the pool is a good thing. I think it might enhance the resale value of my home if I can give the new buyers, say, hey, you've got an option to join this. Mm-hmm. And I've also had a couple of neighbors opine to me that they would like to join the pool so that they would have access to it. So I think that solves the problem that the current neighbors have with not having any amenities at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to step forward and speak on Z 25-05? And seeing none, I'll give Mr. Jones the final word.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I just want to point out to Mr. Ledford's concern, we've addressed that in 14, proffering to condition ourselves on that natural or undisturbed buffer based on the final grading plan. So to the extent feasible, undisturbed, but if unfeasible, then go back with evergreens. Again, I think evergreens are a better buffer, but that was the preference of the residents.
Okay.
What about a fence?
I don't know that a fence is necessary, Councilman. I think the existing, a tree buffer, it's not like there's going to be access. I mean, that's going to be a slope for that road, so I don't know that a fence is all that necessary for the terms of privacy that trees are going to provide. And then you've got maintenance obligations on the HOA to maintain a fence that's quite long. It's got some feasibility issues. I think if their concern is privacy, then a planted evergreen buffer accomplishes that better than a fence. But of course, if it's, the will of council, it's on a hill I'm on.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Can I add one more thing?
I'm sorry, we've closed the public hearing. That's the process of it, so. Thank you, sir. Council? Any other discussion, questions?
Mayor, before y'all start that, I wanted to say if y'all do want to approve this and go by the proffered conditions, what you should approve would be conditions 1 through 6, and then conditions 9 through 14. Conditions 6, 7, and 8 will be addressed in the second part of this, which is the variances. And if those are approved, then they'll be added to the final document.
Thank you for that, Mr. Lovell. Council, it's up to you for further discussion, questions, and consideration.
Is it 1 through 5 or 1 through 6?
It's 1 through 5.
Oh, yeah, 1 through 5, I'm sorry. I can't read.
As long as you get, that's all right. You good? Yeah, it's be 1 through 5 and then 9 through 14. It would break the uncomfortable silence if somebody did something.
I'll make a motion to deny the change in zoning from R10 to R12.
Okay, I've got a motion to deny the request. Do I have a second? Going once, going twice, and that motion fails for lack of a second.
All right.
All right, Mayor, I'll give this a shot. I make a motion to approve the applicant's conditions 1 through 5. Also on number 4, we need to include the playground in the development as far as what they are responsible for taking care of and what they are responsible for implementing. Then, or do we need to vote on that separate?
I think that was addressed in the previous motion, because if this passes, then that becomes part of the document.
Okay.
No, I thought
Is
there
that
was a
correct?
typo that had to be corrected.
Yeah, I mean, your motion was to approve 1 through 5 with the proposed amendment to number 4, and then I assume you're also approving 9 through 14 as part of that motion as well.
Yes, sir, but do we also need to include that 12 is echoing the previous vote where it includes the common area and the entrance?
Let's see, 12, yes, I think we should amend that if you want to. 12 should be the same as number 8 in the previous request.
Perfect. Entrance. And then we have the variances 6 through 8.
Those we have to have separate public hearings on before you can vote on those.
Perfect. We have a motion.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'd like to amend her motion.
Okay, so I got a second,
Second.
but you want to amend that motion.
You may offer an amendment.
I'd like to add the privacy fence along the entrance.
You'd like to amend item 14 to
Yes.
include a privacy fence?
Yes.
Any particular height or style you'd
6
like to
foot.
see?
6 feet.
You would need a second on that.
Hang on, y'all gotta hang on. You said that was 6 foot or 4 foot?
Six.
6 foot, okay, thank you.
And do I have a second to that amendment to the motion?
Second.
So I've got a second, so that item is added. So now we have a motion with a second.
Yes, the proper procedure is that, under Robert's Rules of Orders, which I admit I do not understand, you vote on the amendment first.
Okay.
And then you vote on the actual underlying
Thank
motion.
you for your guidance.
I always think it should be the other way around, but, you know, what do I know?
So the amended motion is to include the privacy fence under condition 14. And I had a motion and a second on that. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that passes 5-0. And so now we go to the second portion, which is the actual motion that Councilwoman Hodge made and seconded by Councilwoman Cordell.
Yes.
And all in favor of that indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
One, how many is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed, like sign? Aye. And the motion carries 4-1.
And Mayor, before we go on to the variances, Stephen, if you would, since you do have these in Word documents, if you could email those to Randy tomorrow, so he can provide that to the clerk with all the new conditions on there. It'll make it a little easier for us to do it.
I'll take this.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
All right, so now we move on to
The
the variance portion of that. And Mr. Menino, do you want to get us up to date on that one?
As mentioned in the previous case, this zoning case also includes 3 variances. One, the actual zoning they're requesting as a requirement for rear access or rear alley access and no front yard parking. This basically is looking to eliminate it to allow the front parking as proposed in his plan. Additionally, they're looking to do bigger front yards and would like to do a smaller rear yard, even though they'll still have buffer completely surrounding the townhomes. But the larger front yard, instead of 10, they will expand that to 20 and reduce their rear to 10. Even though they have a 10-yard rear setback, they still have buffer and open space and green space around the exterior of the development.
Okay.
Randy, one question for you. The proffered condition is to reduce the rear yard setback from 20 to 10 feet.
Correct.
Do you feel that language should be added to that to say that that additional 10 feet will be added to the front yards?
Yeah, and again, they're proposing a 20-foot front yard, so
Yeah,
sure.
I understand. So, so what you would say on number 6 is that you would like to reduce the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 10 feet with the understanding that the front yard would be 20 feet.
Correct.
Okay.
If that motion could get amended if it comes to that.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Randy. I'll open up a public hearing for this portion of Z25-05, the variance portions. Anybody wishing to speak for or against may do so at this time.
Mayor, Council, my name is Stephen Jones. Previously stated my address on the record, represent the applicant. You, as Mr. Menino said, you have before you 3 variances tonight that accompany the Phase 2 rezoning, which is Z2505 that you just voted on. These are necessary. You impose conditions on Phase 2, the last rezoning, to be concept plan specific, meaning that this concept plan would be what is delivered. This concept plan, if we could pull up the larger concept, please, contemplates a front entry townhome with a driveway that can accommodate 2 cars. It also, because it's front entry and because the driveway will accommodate 2 cars in the driveway, then that necessitates these 3 variances. Well, one portion of your code states that in a development of this type, there shall be rear or private drives. With this concept specific application, we've got front entry, so we need to vary that provision. Number 2, it would require, there's another provision, the next subsection actually requires parking in the rear yard. If you have parking in the front with a driveway, that has to be varied. And then secondly, to get enough room for that parking in the front driveway, you've got to reduce the rear yard setback from 20 to 10, and we are perfectly fine with Mr. Menino's and City Attorney's amendment to add that additional 10 feet to the front. We have a typical lot layout that actually contemplates that, and that we would want to do that because the necessary 19 foot for a car. So I tried to make that succinct. Of course, I'll incorporate by reference all my other comments and the prior 2 rezonings. If you have any questions of me about these variances, I'd be happy to answer them at this time. I would request that council approve with the modifications noted by Mr. Menino and Mr. Lovell.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Jones? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
We'll open up the variance portion, public hearing for Z25-05 and asking anybody wishing to speak for or against to do so at this time. And seeing none, I'll close the public hearing for the variance portion of Z 25-05. Turn it over to council for consideration.
Make a motion to approve these variances with the noted adjustments by the city attorney.
Second.
All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries 4-1. Continue on with SU 25-01. Mr. Menino.
Mayor, would you like to let the folks know they can leave?
Yeah, folks who are here for those hearings, you're welcome to move, you're welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to enjoy the rest of your evening, so.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. This is a request for a special use at the property located at 1009 North Tennessee Street. Property is currently zoned office commercial. In the office commercial zoning, used car facilities are not allowed by right, but they are allowed with a special use permit in meeting certain criteria. With that, they took it to Planning Commission. Planning Commission did recommend approval of this. The applicant, from my understanding, was agreeable to limiting his action to a maximum of 10 vehicles, and the special use being specifically for him or the entity, whatever LLC or entity that he's operating under. And again, with that, Planning Commission did recommend approval. There was some concerns in opposition that staff had took by phone call, but they were not present at the actual Planning Commission meeting. I do believe there was opposition that did come to the first reading of this request.
Okay. Thank you. Questions for Randy on this item as we get started? Thank you, sir. I'll open up the public hearing for SU 25-01 and ask the applicant if they'd like to step forward and speak. And once again, for anybody speaking, please state your name and your address for our clerk.
My name is Shane Ray, 84 Moore Road, Kingston, Georgia, 30145. Mr. Mayor, Council, thank y'all for hearing me. My understanding, how many minutes do I get to speak?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, and a rebuttal?
Rebuttal depends upon how long the other speakers speak, but normally 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. I heard you on the first one, and I just want to. So during the last meeting, without me going over everything else I said, I agreed to do, not really scale it down, but agreed to do a smaller a car lot up front instead of having a real big car lot, because I really don't have no desire to put a big car lot up front. I agreed that no more lighting than what's there. I may have to add a sign up under there, under what I got. I won't go no higher than what's there. I will add no more parking. We get enough traffic coming in as it is. So what the picture you see, there will really be no more traffic than what we have now. I run a residential roofing company. I run a commercial roofing company and a gutter company. I do 80% more commercial than I do residential. I don't have a lot of customers that comes in anyway. Somebody may come pay a bill. Very few wants to come by and pick out a color. My commercial contractors, I had one swing by today, drop a check off, never shut his truck off and kept it going. So if I open this business up, and there's 3,000 square foot here. If I open this business up and put a hair salon in there, how much traffic would come in? If I put a tanning bed facility in there, how much traffic would come in? So I'm really not expecting any more traffic than what I have coming in now. During the last meeting, it was brought up about the driveway. We share a driveway. So I looked it up today, and like I said, someone stopped by and gave me a check, and I walked off and left my paperwork sitting on my desk. But we looked it up in the city of Cartersville. To have a commercial entrance, it's supposed to be 20 feet. If you share a driveway, it's supposed to be 25 feet. We have 37 feet. So just because the driveways are connected doesn't mean we share a driveway. Another thing, the property behind me and the property beside me, there's a house up the upper right, and I think the gentleman before me had pointed out, and I'll be more than glad to go point it out where it is if anybody would like me to. I didn't know I was going to get any opposition. I'm sure I'm okay with it. That's what happens in life. I was whispered in the ear before the last meeting, hey Shane, you might need to get you an attorney to take with you. The reason I didn't get an attorney to come with me, I get a phone call by a family member 2 days before the last meeting. Shane, what are you wanting to do with this? I tell them, would you consider not letting it go past if you decide to sell it, going back to the original ordinance. Because my neighbor is 97 years old. When she passes away, they want to develop the whole property, make their property worth more money, and they're scared that me putting a car lot is going to make the property worth less money. Well, that's valuing them and devaluing me. So I thought about it. I want to be a good neighbor, and that's why I agreed to doing that. I agreed to not having no more than 10 cars. I agreed to having no more lighting. I agreed to only using me, not renting it out to someone to put a car lot there. And I also agreed to, if I sell the building, to let it go back to the original, what the ordinance is now. That's why I didn't bring an attorney. That's why I don't have slides. That's why I didn't do any of that. And I was kind of surprised when I did get all the opposition, because I was told by the family, oh, Shane, we're great with it. Don't worry about it. We're happy with you doing it. That kind of surprised me. It is what it is. So I don't think I'm going to devalue my property whatsoever. I don't think I'm going to devalue their property whatsoever. It's just that, we're going to put 7 or 8 cars out there, make it really nice. I don't see that any more traffic's going to come in. So really hope you approve it. I'd appreciate it, but we got to do what we got to do. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Ray? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll continue on with SU 25-01. Ask anybody wishing to speak for or against to do so at this time.
My name is Brent Beck. I live at 6304 Black Acre Trail, and I would just like, from my previous comments at the last council meeting, to go into the minutes if they can, and we do oppose it. Thank you.
Thank you. Continuing on with SU 25-01. Anybody wishing to speak for or against may do so at this time. And seeing none, closing statement. Are you good? Okay. Thank you. I'll close the public hearing for SU 25-01 and turn it over to council for consideration.
I'll make a motion to approve the zoning request with conditions that if the property changes hands in the future, it goes back to its original zoning.
And does that include the other conditions about the vehicle limit and the lighting? Okay, those are the only conditions that were on that.
I believe those are the only ones that were discussed at the last meeting. I think during his presentation, he mentioned something about lighting or something.
I said no additional lighting.
Yeah. Whether you want to make that a condition or not, I'll leave that up to you.
Okay.
There's a max of 10 cars and no additional lighting.
That's fair.
Yep. Okay. Got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion, a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Keep us going with SU 2502, please. Randy?
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. Back in 2022, Council had amended the downtown business district zoning ordinance to allow for planned residential developments within it through a special use permit process. With that, the applicant has applied for a special use permit as long as it met certain standards. The application met certain standards. With that, we're talking about the property at 11 Leek Street and the corner of Southeast Irwin Street and Leek Street. And it's a 2-phase development. The first phase being the portion known as the Red Barn area on Leek Street. They're proposing a few restaurants with 8 residential units included in that. And the second phase being at the corner of Irwin and Leek Street and 18 townhomes. Since the first reading, there have been no additions or changes. And with that, the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this application.
Thank you. Questions for Randy at this time? Seeing none, we'll turn it over for a public hearing for SU 25-02. Ask anybody wishing to step forward, speak for or against, to do so at this time. The applicant is here. Come on up.
Yes, Robert Wright, 117 Etowah Drive here in Cartersville. I'll keep my remarks brief. As was said, nothing has changed from when I presented this last week. I know there's some council members that weren't here last time, so I'll just quickly go over. The plan is to renovate the existing structure known as the Red Barn. We're utilizing historic tax credits on that project, so I mentioned that only to say that the finished product will be largely in keeping with the historical facade of the building. I think I said last time at the last meeting with the existing, and I was rebuffed for that because it will not look like it does right now. We certainly hope so. We're going back with a flat roof structure, for example. That was part of the original building. Inside that building, we're proposing 2 commercial restaurant spaces that you can see on the east side, kind of what we think of as the front of the Red Barn, and then behind there we have 8 loft-style apartments. And then, as was noted, we have 15 fee-simple townhomes. Those would all be for sale upon completion. And then we have 3 live-work buildings, which I pointed out last time. Those buildings are small, very small footprint of commercial retail on the ground floor with a single residential unit above. Think of a lot of what kind of downtown is, but in a much smaller footprint. Those live-work units kind of create a shared courtyard. As was noted last meeting, the existing easement that runs between the properties will be kept. The existing easement is currently 16 feet. We're showing 18 to 20 feet throughout that space, but that existing easement would be kept as public access. Last thing I'll note, I did not mention it last meeting, but the townhomes have been, very intentionally designed with a range of sizes. So the smallest footprint townhomes are around 1,100 square feet. The largest is 1,900 square feet. So there's a range of sizing in there. We just want to offer stuff that, to be frankly, like I could afford, people in my generation could afford. We love what's going on in the town. With other townhomes, think it's phenomenal. Different product in terms of different sizing and stuff like that. So want it to be for young families and singles and a variety of people. So have intentionally designed the range of housing types and sizing. But we do want these to be very thoughtfully designed, very nice in terms of the sort of site plan design of them, as well as the materiality that we would use in construction. Happy to answer any questions, but I'll leave it at that.
I know in the work session, we had a little discussion about parking. And can you talk about what the parking plan is for the entirety of that space?
Yeah, so in terms of parking, we have carved out parking along Leek Street for the residential and a few overflow for the commercial of the Red Barn. We'll note that, so we're providing 12 spaces there. We have 8 apartments in there. Those would all be 1-bedroom apartments. There's actually one that is 2-bedroom. The rest would be 1-bedroom. And then we, with the townhomes, the majority of them have tuck-under parking. A few of them have a single parking space underneath, and some of them have 2 parking spaces underneath. There's a few kind of down there at the corner of Leek and Irwin that don't have tuck-under, but they do have dedicated parking. And then for the live work, you can see that we have 3 parking spaces for those units kind of up at the top on the north side there, in between where those live work units are proposed to be and where the local bar and grill is currently. So that's a parking plan. Parking was one of the questions that came up in the Planning Commission. I know it's a concern. It's a concern almost anywhere. I'm working on a project with another partnership in downtown Woodstock. Parking comes up there. Parking comes up everywhere. So I do recognize that there's some sensitivity there. I also recognize that with this site in particular, there's some sensitivity because it is currently basically used as public parking. I mean, I will note that it's not public parking, it's privately owned. Tomorrow that could be removed. It's not a threat or anything. I'm not making that, but it is all private parking currently. So we would seek to utilize that. As was noted in the Planning Commission, I forget the number, but it's around 40, don't quote me on that being recorded, but 40 in the city-owned parking lot. I believe it's around 80 parking spaces in the chamber parking lot. So those are both right there for the restaurant uses. We've got 2 smaller footprint restaurants. So there's those parking spaces. You cross Museum Drive, there's parking there, and then obviously the county-owned parking garage. So again, I understand the sensitivity around parking. you know, there are plenty of times in the day, I work downtown, there's plenty of times in the day when it is difficult to find parking. Actually measured at one point the distance from the back of the Target parking lot here in Cartersville to the Target front door, and it's about the same distance from our property, actually from the Red Barn to the parking structure. So I think it's part of kind of like perception in terms of people don't want to walk a block, but they're fine walking a long way in a Target parking lot. So again, I am not making the comment that it's not an issue and that people won't be dissatisfied with it, but you know, our intent was to add to the beauty and walkability of downtown Cartersville. We think there's a tension between that and parking oftentimes. That's a part of reality. We've, you know, leaned into creating a beautiful place, but also tried to accommodate cars and parking and try to be good neighbors in that sense. Last thing I'll note on that is, you know, we were intentional about keeping a large part of the Red Barn as residential because of that. Originally, when we were looking at the property, it would be a lot easier for us from some of the complexities with the flood zone and some of those things to make the majority of that building commercial, but we felt like that would have triggered you know, additional parking concerns. So in our minds, by keeping the majority, I'm going to call it 70% of that building as residential, we think it's, you know, a nod in the right direction to recognizing that there are parking concerns. So.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on SU 25-02 may step forward and do so at this time. And seeing none, and assuming the applicant does not want to rebut anything that he said, I'll close the public hearing for SU 25-02. Turn it over to council for consideration.
I'd like to make a motion to approve per submitted plans with any substantial changes to be brought back to council for review.
Okay, there's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Start building tomorrow, okay? Everybody wants to see what that's going to look like. Randy, go ahead and continue on with your show tonight.
Didn't want it to be. Thank you again, Mayor and Council. This request is to amend our fee schedule. Primarily, we're looking to change the reinspection fee and reinstatement fee from $25 to $50, just to try to cover our cost of doing so. But at the same time, we're implementing new software starting September 22nd. So we would like to go ahead and write these fees into that new software. And with that, we do recommend approval of the change in fees from 25 to 50 for issuance fees, reinspection fees, and reinstatement fees of expired permits.
Okay. Any questions for Randy on this item? Thank you. It is the first reading. We'll take this up at our meeting on September the 18th, if I'm not mistaken. And we've got another first reading while Freddie's making his way up. Chair will entertain a motion to add 5 items to the agenda.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
5 items are added. Good evening, Mr. Morgan.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. We have a request to modify the schedule of charges ordinance. We're asking if an applicant can't meet the requirements of A through C, and that are our credit requirements, that they be allowed as an alternative to utilize real property if they have it in the city of Cartersville. Based upon this, in lieu of an advance payment, this would also have to go through the city manager before we would approve that portion, but we're asking to modify and add that change as a section D in that area.
Thank you very much for that. Any questions or discussion?
So I just want a quick clarification. This would be for people who are paying cash?
No, sir. No, sir. This would be if
they don't have a credit score?
They don't have a credit score that's sufficient. So if you are below that item C, which is our bottom threshold of 640, you have to pay up to $500. We capped it at $500 if you have all 3 utilities. So we're saying if you have other real properties that we can secure in lieu of this, this would allow them to waive that portion.
Okay. I know that later on we're looking to bring up auto enrollment.
Yes, sir.
Right? You're
Yes,
going
sir.
to auto enroll people in paperless billing?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, when we look at, just make sure that when we look at these folks, these citizens that may not have this score, they may not be readily technically inclined to be checking their email, to be checking their text messages. You know, I think when we go down to this, when we start to, require people, when they don't have a credit score, we're looking at maybe some technically challenged, people, when we look at this credit score issue, I think this ties in later on to this auto bill thing. I'm not against it. I just think that we just need to be careful, when we start to require people who may not have the asset or may not have the credit, to get utility. I think it's just, we need to have a little bit of room in there.
So I'll address this. I was the one that initiated this, and again, as mentioned in the work session, I appreciate Dan and Freddie moving quickly on this. There's a few instances that have come up just over the last month, and we hear it from time to time about, example A was somebody who's been a homeowner in the city for 30 years and has been paying their bill. They go to reestablish, or they move to a new house, and then all of a sudden, like a lot of us, you got your credit on freeze so that nobody's stealing your stuff, and then you come to the city and you have to go through that process, and then the deposit that comes with that. Again, there's a 30-year history there in that case. The other instance, a lot of times people who are on the there's some people that go through life that don't ever need to use credit, so they don't have a credit score. It's not that they've got a bad score, it's just that they've never had to establish it because they've been able to pay cash for everything, including their houses. The other thing, people that have lived overseas for a number of years, that kind of gets washed away, so their history kind of gets washed with it. And I think this provides a vehicle, I think, and we're moving down the road in both those situations. Again, we have people that are established residents that are wanting to continue service, to kind of lower the hurdle that they've got to jump over, and it also, for those other people that I just mentioned, I think it keeps us from getting off to a really bad start with some people that are coming into our community. We certainly want to protect the utility, and again, when somebody doesn't pay a utility bill and walks out on it, all the taxpayers have to pay for it. So I think this is a step to kind of...
I know of a particular instance where a widow, the utilities were in her husband's name, he passed away. They've been paying, and she kept paying, but then they made her change the utilities over in her name. She didn't have that. She was a senior lady.
Sure.
So then it caused them to have to jump through other hoops to be able to get their utilities moved into their name because she didn't have any credit score. So I think just make sure that as we put more stringent rules on those things, that we just make sure that we have a little bit of latitude to move.
And just to speak to that, this is the initial payment when we come in, so we're only looking to secure if you don't pay or if we have those other things there. And additionally with that, this allows us to have an additional option that we didn't have before.
This gives the city manager discretion to look at that situation you said, to say, hey, this is...
Yeah, it's not written in now, so it actually expands it for us in that regard. Okay.
Any other questions or discussion on this item? Again, it's the first reading. We'll take it up for final consideration in our meeting on the, like I said, it was the 18th.
Yes. All right,
Very
thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Mr. Lovell, you have, actually, this next item.
Yes, I'll talk on that one, Mayor. The amendment to the sign ordinance for the weekend directionals. It's come to my attention that staff now feels that they may be able to address this procedurally. So what we would request y'all to do is to table this at this time, and we will report back to you at the next meeting that we have addressed it procedurally, and if we haven't, then we'll bring it back up for y'all to consider.
Okay.
But I feel confident the staff can address it procedurally.
Does that require a motion to table it?
It does require a motion to table it if you would like.
Is there any discussion about that, or if not, a motion would be in order to table the item?
Well, I would just, the only thing I would say is that, I've made my point of what my goal is, and I hope that we can, what my goal in the ordinance was, that we can accommodate that through process and procedure. But I hope that can take place, but if I need to state my goal for the record, I can, but I think I'll submit it in writing later. But my goal, I'll just state it for the record, but my goal is that the average resident or HOA board member can take a yard sale or community yard sale sign and place it in a common sense way on the side of the road to give direction to their sale without knowing where the right of way is, and to have that sign up before, during their sale, and then taken down in a timely fashion. And that is my goal. And you know, I think that the amendment changing the ordinance, I don't think that is not my first play. So I'm willing to make a motion. If that goal can be met, I'll be happy with that, and I'll make a motion to table the ordinance.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion to table carries unanimously. We'll move on. Ms. Reed, you've got the next item.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to bring a request from the Etowah Foundation for the creation of a festival zone on November the 2nd, and this is for their fundraising dinner under the bridge.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this item? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Lovell, you have the next couple here.
Yes, Mayor. The first one is we received anti-lighting notice regarding an accident that occurred at the high school. It is recommended by staff for y'all to approve the resolution denying it.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
The next one is we also received an anti-lighting notice regarding an automobile accident, and it is recommended by staff for y'all to deny that one by resolution as well.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Porta.
Yes, Mayor, this is the next resolution for the time change or standard morning meeting in December to allow the Christmas parade at night, so I recommend approval of this resolution.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Chief Cloninger. Go buy some vehicles.
Mr. Mayor and Council, we're seeking approval to purchase 3 2025 Tahoes at a cost of $52,143 per vehicle, and also one 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee at a cost of $37,388, and the funding to upfit those vehicles at a cost of $80,000. The total cost of all 4 vehicles should not exceed, with the outfitting, should not exceed $274,315. The Tahoes are a budgeted item, will be paid for with asset forfeiture funds. The Jeep is a replacement vehicle for a vehicle that was previously crashed and totaled. The at-fault driver's insurance will be reimbursing the bulk of the cost of that.
Thank you. Any discussion on this item? If not, a motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Chief. Mr. Greer, whenever you get a minute, we'll handle both those items if that's all right, unless you want to hang around to the end.
I have an option? I think I'll go ahead and.
There's always an option. I've got options too.
Well,
Adobe software renewal.
A babysitter probably wants me to go ahead and get these done.
Probably so.
All right, first one is the Adobe software renewal. This is a budgeted renewal for all of our Adobe software for document management and digital design. Total amount is $87.43.81 from SHI, and we recommend this for your approval.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And then the added item to the agenda, Mr. Greer, is?
The second item tonight is a budgeted purchase of 25,000 feet of 96 count fiber optic cable. This is for our overbuild project that we budgeted this year of Tennessee Street Fiber. Total amount is $30,250 from Gray Bar, and we recommend this for your approval.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Stephen. Where are we at? Mr. Dixon, you're up. You're at the ready. How about that?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The gas system is requesting the purchase of 280 Sonics IQ meters for stock. Equipment Controls Company, the sole source provider, provided a quote of $102,054.40. This is a budgeted item, and council's approval is recommended.
Thank you, sir. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you,
Thank you.
Michael. Good evening, Mr. McKee.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. The first item that we have for you is the purchase of Okanite underground primary cable. This will be purchased from our sole source provider here in Georgia, Stewart C. Irby, and we request approval for that purchase in the amount of $48,690.
Thank you. Any discussion? If there's none, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Parking lot light pole purchase.
Yes, second item is purchase of 9 30-foot parking lot light poles. We received 3 bids for that and deemed Gresco Utility Supply as the best option in terms of price in the amount of $15,885 and request that for your approval.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. And then the added item, please handle that one.
Yes, so the final item is approval of a release of all claims regarding a property damage from a traffic accident involving one of our utility poles, and we do request approval and recommend approval for that release of all claims.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Tom. Mr. Porta.
Yes, Mayor, this is an agreement with Proma Energy Group for the design build for the solar panels at the new recreation center. Q-Cells will be reimbursing the city. The total cost of this $24,533.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Morgan.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is a request to look forward, move forward to migrating to paperless billing as of January 1st, 2026. We wanted to get your approval to amend the invoice cloud agreement.
Thank you. Any discussion?
So this is,
Mayor, that should be made approval subject to the city manager and city attorney.
Thank you. Mr. Councilman Roth, you had a question?
yeah, so we're going to automatically enroll people?
Yes, sir.
Or they're going to have a choice to do that?
They can opt out.
So you have to opt out of it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How will they know that they can opt out of it?
That information will be available, but we won't put that out there before we have your approval to move forward with it.
Okay. All right, so, because I still think that there may be some folks that may be behind on technology side of that who may not be readily available. And if we see an uptick in either late payment and those types of things, we need to be, I would encourage us to be tracking those things, because if that is caused by the paperless billing and people aren't seeing those bills, then and then they're used to getting a paper bill and they're coming in here to the counter, I think we really need to be on top of that, because if we see a lot of late payments and we're cutting utilities off because we've got people and they don't know, well, I didn't know I was getting a bill, or I didn't get a paper bill, I was getting a paper bill, and they're automatically in this electronic bill, I think we really need to make sure that we're educating our people very early, and some of those who may be at risk here, we need to be we need to be watching out for those, because
Sure.
we don't, like I said before, we have a widow lady, she's been paying her bill on time, she gets a paper bill, or that's how she pays it, and she's in auto pay and paperless, and she has no clue about that. I mean, I don't want us to put ourselves in those situations.
Agreed.
So, I'd rather see people opt into this than opt out, than have to opt out of it. But, and if we're gonna automatically put people in, well, you gotta come in and tell us you want out of it, and you still want a paper bill, and it's gonna cost you
And you
$2
don't
a
have to
month.
come in to say that. We're just saying there is a provision there to say, I want to opt out. That'll be a part of the process. And the only thing that we're looking at, even when we had the mail issue, we had those same people saying they didn't get their mail for weeks. They were late on bills. We made accommodations for them. We didn't continue that after multiple months, but we didn't cut people off, nor did we look as though that didn't happen. But this will allow us to migrate away from having the mail there. And there's several that have, the last time we didn't do a full-fledged campaign, but we moved multiples over and they wanted to do it because they're just throwing away a paper bill. So that's the only reason. The opt-out provision was to make sure that we were not causing any undue stress or any undue heartache on people.
Okay, well,
And we're not penalizing anyone like a cable
Roughly
company
about
was.
what percentage, again, just a wag at it, just about what percentage is doing paperless now anyway?
We're trending over 50% on paperless
What's
right
that?
now. We're trending over 50% on paperless. So a lot of people just saying, I just want it emailed to me. You get multiple notifications and you're set and you do that. And then what we're trying to capture also is on the payment piece that Dan's spoken about, where we get more people that are paying online. We have less doing auto draft. We've got about 20% doing auto draft, but they don't want to see a bill. They know it's coming. It'll tell them, it prompts them. But the other piece is getting that where we have more paying online. When we did this 2 years ago, we just sent something out, said, hey, there's an option there. We're not doing like, I won't call the name, but the cable company or the phone company. If you get a paper bill, they're charging $10 more or $5 more. That was their way to force people there. We're not saying that. All we're saying is, let's put this out here because we know we spend over, on average, $80,000 a year on bills. If we can defray any of that cost, because people are just throwing away a paper bill, we felt that was the best way to go.
It's also, Carrie, a multi-step process because we're gathering their phone numbers, their email addresses, and that's the reason for that. If we have an outage, we can be proactive and call them, have good numbers to contact these people because we're trying to make sure that once we get a good database, to have that feature to have call out. So they're not calling us if we get inundated with an outage because that happens too. So having the good information from Invoice Cloud, gathering their email addresses and phone numbers is very important. I guess it's a multi-step process is going to help us down the road if we have an outage for a particular issue or notification for any reason. We can push that data out through our social media contacts and everything.
Even on the outage information that Dan mentioned, we can target those areas when you have better information. You're not missing people. But that was the impetus behind it, Councilman Roth.
Thank you. And Councilman, I appreciate that point because again, I know that there's a lot of folks that are older or may not even have internet or, there's still, again, we need to make sure we're taking to those folks that are in the margin there. So very good point indeed. Chair will entertain a motion if there's any more discussion or questions.
I make a motion to approve pursuant to the manager and the attorney review of the contract.
Yes, sir. We made some amendments or some changes, sent it back to them. We haven't received it back, so that'll need to go back through that and the sign off if you allow that.
So, got a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Porter, you have the final 3, 4?
Yes, sir.
Keep going till we're
First
done.
ones are for the original release of the 36-inch water line our water department in Bartow County helped us with about a month or so ago in the amount of $50,099.17 to fully reimburse the city and Bartow County for the work provided on that.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. And then to the added items.
Yes, first one's a guaranteed maximum price from Pennant Construction for the Parks and Recreation, Dillinger Park softball fields, dugouts. It's also includes the bleachers that we're providing, and then the field house is what the school system's providing. The total amount from the school system is $1,149,781. The city's portion is $2,661,936. Grand total is $3.8 million. The city will pre-fund this, and the school system will send them a bill, but recommend approval of the total GMP of $3,811,717.
Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Recreation Advisory Board appointment.
Yes, Councilmember Cooley has recommended Michael Todd Dean to fill an unopened expired seat, and this approved will be through December 31st, 2027.
Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Stan Tech Consulting Services.
Yes, so this is for the roundabout at Tennessee Street and Collins Drive. Stantec would be hired to develop a conceptual layout and design of the roundabout, provide bid services, and perform services during construction, and recommended for your approval.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Is there any other business that needs to come before council tonight? And again, if you would, please state your name and address for our clerk in the records, please.
Hello, my name is Lynn Acock, and my address is 219 South Bartow Street. And I just came before the council to see if we could get some help. I'm a resident in the Old Town neighborhood, and we are seeing a huge increase in commercial trucks through our neighborhood. Semi-trucks, dump trucks, huge, large trucks. And daily, I see golf carts go by my house. And we've got trucks and golf carts, trucks and golf carts. And I just wanted to see if there was something, and I did get your email this afternoon, thank you. If there's something that city council could do to help us control the commercial trucks through our neighborhoods. Bartow Street, West Avenue is really awful, and Leakey Street. And I know they're posted, it says restricted, but we're still seeing those trucks coming through. We had a semi-truck was on Bartow Street, took out the traffic light pole on Main Street just a few weeks ago. So I'm just asking if there's something that city council can do and what the plan is as we continue to grow and add residents downtown. What is our traffic plan, to help with that? I go those streets all the time, and some of the streets are 25 miles an hour, some are 30 miles an hour. I don't know if it's worth trying to make it all 25 to see if that would help slow people down. But again, the commercial trucks is a huge problem in our area. And I just didn't know if, what you could do to help us.
Is that street posted for no?
West Avenue is, absolutely.
Ms. Aycock did talk to Samantha last month, and I had Public Works go out and look at it. There's a number of street signs out there, no truck through trucks. I've talked to Chief McCann. He's had some additional patrols out there. And the long term is hopefully when Old Alabama Road gets done, most of those trucks, except for the ones that have to come downtown, will be diverted. That's the goal. The county, traffic personnel, everybody's on board with that to make sure we're going to notify Google, all the companies. That's going to be a faster route for them.
What is the time frame on that though? See, that when I read that in your email, which I do appreciate, sure. I was thinking about, okay, well, I was just out on Alabama yesterday. Yeah. So what is the time frame on that?
I haven't asked the county in a while. I thought it was going to be the end of this calendar year, but honestly, I don't see that happening. I would probably say maybe by middle of 26, but I'll get a definitive updated date from the county to see where that is. This county project. But that, until they really finish all the way out to 61113, and they haven't even done the roundabout or whatever. I don't know what they decide by the airport, what they're going to do there. But they still have a long way to go. I don't see them getting done by this calendar year. So I will get an updated date on that.
The other part of that is, again, the GPSs, when everybody's using this for navigation, it's just pointing them right down there. I don't know that there's a way to get it marked on there. We're neighbors. I live right around the corner from you. So I see it, and I get frustrated just as much as you do. And like you said, we get poles taken out, and it costs the city money. Fortunately, we caught the last few people that have hit stuff to at least recoup the cost. But I get the frustration.
I did try to go on Google Maps and Waze and see if I could get the streets listed as restricted. But I don't have any power. I'm just just a citizen. So I didn't know if that was something that the city could, as have a title, and that might help to have something with that.
I can check. I mean, I'll see what we can do to check. But again, sometimes they're. I know we've tried in the past to make some changes, and they're not amenable to some of those changes.
Is there a fine if they are caught in a restricted area?
Oh yeah, the police department would have to catch them, and sometimes they issue a warning citation. But again, I've talked to Chief McCann. They're going to step up patrol already. They're aware of the situation, and sometimes it just takes the residents notified because we only have so many police.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
The city at times.
Well, like I said, I just wanted to bring that before the council, and I appreciate your time. But I'll be back if But we do appreciate you looking out for us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Anyone else need to speak before council this evening? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.